Alright, what's up guys? I am bringing you today my Tenyi deck profile. This is pure Tenyi, no Phantasm Spirals this time around. If you want to see that one, check out the channel. But we have just regular pure Tenyi. Very, very, very cool deck. Just overall, you can go into Synchros, XYZ monsters, Link monsters, non-effect monsters. Like, there's so many different routes to go with this deck, which is what makes it so interesting. So let's get into it. We play 3 copies of Tenyi Spirit Nakta. So basically all of the effect monster Tenyis, basically their effect is that if you control no effect monster, so either an empty field or a normal monster or a non-effect monster, you can special summon this for free from your hand, and you can only special summon that particular monster once per turn in that way. That is number 1. Number 2 is they always have an effect where you can either banish them from the hand or banish them from the graveyard and then have a bonus effect. Sometimes they're quick effects, other times they are not quick effects. In this particular one, it's not a quick effect, but a certain condition has to be met. So for this particular card, if your non-effect monster battles, either your opponent attacks or you attack, you can banish this from your hand or graveyard, and then you can have your opponent's monster lose 1500 attack, which isn't bad. You know, it's decent. You know, battle help, assistance, protection, non-targeting, reduction of attack, not bad. And of course, these monsters do banish themselves for cost. If I, yep, they banish themselves for cost, so they can't be like called by the graves or anything. It's kind of hard to hit them. Next, we've got, in my opinion, the best one. Vishuddha. First of all, best stats. It's level 7. It makes synchro plays really easy. Like I said, level 7, 2500 defense, 1500 attack. Best stats on any of them. Also, same thing. If you control no monsters, special summon for free. But this one, you can actually banish from your hand or from your graveyard, and it basically bounces a card on the field. And that is really, really, really good against the modern Thunder Dragon board, because if you put this in grave and you activate it, they have no response. They can't use the Heavenly Spheres against it. They can't use the Colossus. This is basically how you get rid of Colossus, and not that this deck actually searches that much, but this is how you get rid of Colossus. This is also how you would get rid of like number 38. This was how you get rid of Abyss. Because this card basically it activates in the banish zone, it never hits the field, and you can just or hand, it activates in the hand or banish zone and never actually hits the field, so it's really good for that reason. Next we've got Spirit Mapua. This one is okay. This one basically, when your opponent activates an effect or card that targets a face-up non-effect monster, you can banish this from your hand or graveyard, and you can negate and destroy that. It's not bad. It definitely has some cool stuff. Yeah, like if you think about it though, like a lot of the cards that target in our meta are things like the Sky Striker cards, and they can't target non-effect monsters anyway. But basically, like, yeah, it protects against targeting. I'd say it's half decent, right? It's half decent. It gives you protection. You just got to keep in mind, most of the time you're dumping these in grave, you just got to keep in mind what you have. And this is actually one of the ones that is a quick effect. So what I'm kind of frustrated about is that the best one, Vishuddha, is not a quick effect. But I mean, then it'd be just too broken. It just bounced both during both players' turns. Play 2 copies of Sathana. This one, in my particular build, I play it 2. If I was playing a different build, I would be playing 2 of this and 3 of that. But I am playing a build with Naturia Beast to try to turbo that out, so I only play this at 2. So basically with this card, when a monster on your side of the field, a non-effect monster, is destroyed, you can, or monster or monsters, you can target that monster or one of those monsters, bring it back, and then destroy a monster your opponent controls. And of course you have to banish this for cost. So that's this card's effect. The problem is there is a lot of non-targeting removal in our meta right now, and just sending to grave and bouncing and stuff like that. So the problem is sometimes this effect just doesn't go off. It's a bit frustrating. But like stat-wise, this card's okay. Yeah, just generally I think it's okay. This one is very interesting. Basically, this card you can banish from your hand, and then you can grab any one of these that are banished and add them back to hand. So banish from your hand or graveyard. Not bad. Again, not a quick effect, but very good in some regards like that. Yeah, so this is the last one. Like, that effect is cool, it's okay, but it's a level 1 tuner, and it's an Earth level 1 tuner, so it makes summoning Naturia Beast super duper easy. Super easy. Next we play 3 copies of Mare. This card is just busted in the deck because you have the central link monster of Tenki's, the Playmaker, the Link 2. This card can actually just, you discard one card from your hand, and you can special summon a worm. This card can only be summoned. This card can only be special summoned by a worm. That is the only way you can special summon this card. And then when you special summon, it has a broken effect when it can summon a token up to 3 times in a turn. So basically, this card by itself is like an Appaloosa, just all on its own. Yeah, definitely a very broken card. It's when you summon it, it's a +3. It's just nuts. And the thing about this card that is very positive, it's probably not getting hit on the ban list because the summoning conditions for this card are so specific that they would have to print like broken worm support just to make this card good. So I don't think it's getting hit anytime soon, but it's definitely an incredible card. It's like Scapegoat that you can use during your turn. But again, it's kind of type specific. Then we've got the Phantom Skyblaster. We play it at 1. It's basically another copy of this. It's very easy to put monsters on board, so Phantom Skyblaster. And again, you don't actually use a lot of normal summons in this deck. Every single one of these monsters special summons. And just to show you real quick, so basically what you're going to do, like let's say you have this, you will special summon this because you have no monsters on field, link it away, you'll summon out the, give me a second, you'll summon out, like for example, the Link Monster, which is a non-effect monster, and then you will activate a different one in hand, and then special summon that one, and then you can link that onto another Link Monster, or you can just link that into the Link 2. You actually do not normal summon a lot in this deck, so playing even one Phantom Skyblast, it really doesn't matter. You literally have no normal summons. You do not normal summon in this deck, so it really doesn't matter if you play this. You don't have like a effect on normal summon that you must, activate. It's no big deal if you don't have something like that. Then we play 2 copies of Gene Warped Warwolf. Awesome card. It's a 2000 attack normal monster. It has great synergy with the deck. Basically, again, easy way to get to Naturia Beast. We do have another route, like let's say we don't get to this, because I don't want to rely on this, obviously. But we also play the Reaperdocus to make any of the other ones an Earth monster. But I think Naturia Beast is very strong against meta right now, so I kind of built a more defensive strategy into this going first build. Next, we move on to the spells. We play 3 copies of Flawless Perfection of the Tenki. Basically, this protects all of your non-effect monsters on the field. They are unaffected by monster effects, and you have to keep that in mind because I actually forget to enforce that all the time. Yeah, so definitely that is an incredible thing. It's unaffected by all of your opponent's monster effects. So that's good, and like I said, you have all the activations that you banish, and it's a lot of cool interactions when you summon the 3000 attack non-effect monster. Additionally, if you control a non-effect monster, when your opponent special summons a monster on their side of the field, an effect monster, you can draw 2 cards. So it's like Pot of Greed. And this card is actually not a hard once per turn. But unfortunately, Metaverse got hit in our meta, so there's no like reliable way to switch it out during your opponent's turn. So there's really no point to even think about that. Like it would have been cool if we could play 3 Metaverse and then 3 of this, and then like get 4 cards off of this card in one turn, because it's not a hard once per turn, but the chances of that are very unlikely. But definitely a very cool, very good field spell. Next, we've got 3 copies of one of the craziest cards. Again, very crazy card. Vessel for the Dragon Cycle. Very crazy card. This card is a free Foolish Burial for any worm in all of existence. So that's number 1. And then number 2, it lets you search a Tenki monster with a different name. So you can send any worm, which typically you will send the Mare, which is, pretty broken, because you get to send it to the graveyard, and then you get to bring it back with the Link 2 monster. So it's like amazing setup for that. But on top of that, it can search basically any, Tenki, Tenyi monster. It can search basically any Tenyi monster in the entire archetype. in the main deck, so it can out various things. It really is. This is a really, really good search spell. Then we play 3 copies of Unexpected Die. Basically, we want to just summon directly from deck the Gene Warp Warwolf. It is this card is basically like terraforming for Gene Warp Warwolf. We only have to summon 1. That's why I play 2 of him, and 3 of this, because this deck can sometimes get very monster heavy, and it's nice to have some spell cards to kind of even it out a little bit. So definitely Unexpected Die into this, and then you have almost always a very easy route to Glow Up Bulb. And if you don't have Glow Up Bulb, I'll show you some other extra deck options that are pretty decent too. Then we play the one-ofs. World Legacy Succession, really good card. You are constantly link summoning, link climbing, really good card. You only want to play 1, but, Monster Reborn, also basically the same card, but better, with less restrictions. I would play just the I would play 2 Monster Reborns if I could, but unfortunately it's at 1. And then we play 3 copies of Pot of Desires. Pot of Desires is amazing in this deck. You play so many 3-ofs and so many dead cards in this deck. Like, after you resolve certain cards, they're like useless. Like, after you resolve Mare, you just don't need the other copies. It's like sometimes it comes up where you use it again, but there are a lot of cards in this deck that are just straight up dead. Like, you use them once, and yeah, you use them once. Something like, for example, I just showed you the, where was it? The Unexpected Die. Like, you use Unexpected Die, you build a board. You never want to see that card again, and you never want to see Gene Werewolf again. So it doesn't even matter if you banish those cards after you resolve the effects once. There are a lot of cards like that in this deck. And everything else basically is at 3. You don't have to worry about banishing anything. The only thing you can consider, like, oh man, I don't want to banish Phantom Skyblaster, but it's like, it's one of those cards, if you draw, it's really good, but if you don't draw, it's like, who cares? Like, there's not a single card in this that you're just terrified to banish. There's no single card win condition, and that's kind of why I play Mare at 3. Number 1, because Mare in hand actually is not bad at all. It is not a brick, and like I said, it's good to have Mare sent off of this, but also there's no problem with actually drawing it, because you could just discard. As long as you have a valid worm target in grave, you can actually discard the Mare to bring back the Mare, as long as you have another valid worm target already in the graveyard before you send it. So it's really, really cool. So it doesn't matter. Pot of Desires literally hurts nothing. You don't have to worry about anything. Then we play 3 copies of Called by the Grave. A lot of combos. Pot of Desires, just various cards. You don't want to be negated with this deck. You want to build a pretty crazy board, and this deck can build some pretty crazy going first boards. And then we play 3 copies of the new Champion's Vigilance or new Counter Trap. Basically, when a spell or trap card is activated or monster effect, you can, if you control a non-effect monster, negate that effect. Simple as that. On top of that, even in like other decks, this card is good. It'd be nice if this was somehow searchable. I mean, it's a Tenyi card. It'd be nice if it was searchable, but at this moment, I play it at 3 because it's not searchable. So you want to draw it, you want to see it. On top of that, if this card gets popped, for example, you can special summon a non-effect monster from your extra deck, which can be anything, and we can get to that later. But also a very good card there. Time to go to the extra deck. We play 1 copy of High Speed Roy Chambara. The Tenyi monster that enables a lot of synchro plays, which is the this card, the Shaman. Basically, she locks you out of activating effects after you activate her effect to special summon from grave. But what is nice is that this effect to attack twice is like a consistent. It's like a consistent one, so sometimes this can help you OTK. This is really important. Churia Beast, very good, because you don't really need to activate it during your turn anyway. Tons of ways to make it. You have the Gene Warp Warwolf, which is one way. You have the Tenyi Link Monster, which is another way. When you use Mare and you get rid of all of the what is it called? You can also, we also play Reaperdocus. So you can use Reaperdocus to turn anything into an Earth monster, and then you can use that plus the Link 1 here. I mean the level 1 tuner here. So you can Reproducus, turn this into Earth, and then use that with this, which is really cool. So that's pretty much it in terms of those. But yeah, it's pretty easy to make. I mean, like, it's pretty consistent. You typically have a choice between various different things. But Naturia Beast is basically a choice among, you kind of see what your opponent's playing and you make based on what they play, different Synchro Monsters. Then we play one Dawn Dragster. This thing, the Mare is basically a one-card Dawn Dragster because you can summon a token up to 3 times and you reduce the Mare's level by 1 every time you do it, but it's level 7, so even if you reduce its level by 1, summon a token, you have a free Dawn Dragster right off the bat. And if you don't know, this card basically, you drop the level and you get a spell or trap card activation, which is really cool. Stops your field from getting evenly matched. It's really nice. Also, I forgot to even mention, Naturia Beast is insane synergy with this deck. Because this deck puts a lot of this. First of all, Naturia Beast, every time it negates a spell, it puts 2 cards from the top of your deck in the graveyard. And this deck has so many freaking graveyard effects. I mean, seriously, the following turn, you're going to just be activating graveyard effects nonstop because it'll put all of these ones that we discussed earlier in the video in the graveyard. It's just insane. So, one Dawn Dragster. We play 1 copy of Borreload Savage Dragon. Very easy to summon this deck. Like I said, lots of synchro plays. You can just ease right off the bat. You have Vishuddha and the this card, the Adhara. This is a level 1. This is a level 7. Right off the bat, this is right here, Borreload Savage Dragon. You are going through so many Link monsters in this deck, so you at least have Link 2s. I don't think this card is really going to live on the field long enough to survive, to be negating over 4 turns. Like, you're either going to win or not by that time. So putting a Link 2 under this card isn't even that big of a deal. And its attack is pretty high. It starts already 3,000. I mean, it doesn't matter what you really gain. But yeah, definitely a cool card. Then we play Abyss. Again, the Tenyi card locks out effect activation after it's summoned. But the great thing about Abyss Dweller is that you activate it during your opponent's turn anyway. You're not going to activate it on your turn. You're not an idiot. Now, off to the Link monsters. We play 2 copies of Shaman. She's good, but I mean, like, you're going to win. You're not going to resolve her a million times in a duel. You're going to win by then. Then we play... It should be... So this should be 2 copies of Monk of the Tenyi, but I freaking let a friend borrow the Apollosa, so I don't have it right now. But it should be 2 copies of the Monk and then 1 copy of the Apollosa, but you can count it as 3 copies of the Monk. This card is basically a Link 1. You can use all your Tenyi cards to go into this. This is a non-effect monster, and it allows you to basically continue special summoning from your hand and Link climbing. Then we play 2 copies of Berserker or Luffy. And this card basically, yeah, it's just your, like, boss monster, I guess you could say. It's in a way your boss monster. I have all these other cards, but, like, he's like your real boss monster because, this is live under him. Usually, if you're going to end on anything, you're going to end on at least one of him. Like, you're also going to end on either an Abyss Dweller or a Dawn Dragster or a Naturia Beast. You're going to end on at least one of that stuff. But you definitely want to end on one of him because you want to have like a negate/interruption, and then you have kind of him because he activates a lot of the negates. He keeps the field spell alive. He lets you activate all those cards in the graveyard, which is really cool. And then for our other link cards, we have the Link Haribo, which Link Haribo is good with the Mare tokens. You can do all types of funny stuff with them. Not to mention, you just because sometimes you need, for example, for his conditions, you need 2 monsters, including a Link monster. So you can actually summon a Link Haribo off of one of the Mare tokens, and then you can use the 2 Mare tokens and the Link Haribo, and now you can summon this giant monster just off of those tokens that you got totally for free. So it's really cool. Then we play 1 Reproducus. This is to turn monsters into Earth attributes so we can make Naturia Beast more easily. And then we play 1 Link Spider. Actually, this effect to special summon from hand to level 4 monster like never comes up. I tested this extensively and it never came up. But yeah, definitely very interesting deck. I'm very happy with how it's been performing. I almost can't believe it. Like, especially with the Naturia Beast, like every single test hand that I did basically was it was either Naturia Beast, Borload Savage Dragon, or yeah, it's like a Naturia Beast, Borload Savage Dragon, or Abyss Dweller, plus like the at least one non-effect monster, and then maybe a few negates, maybe the field spell, something like that, and then of course activations in graveyard. Like this deck had some pretty good going first boards, and going second, this deck is no slouch because you've got a lot of these effects help going second. Like I said, Vishuddha is freaking like that's exactly what this deck needed. Like it actually has some interactivity going second. And there's some other cards here like I've showed you, very good going second. But definitely, thank you for watching. I don't know if I'm going to do some test hands. Very, very interested in doing that sort of thing. I don't know if I don't think I'm going to be able to do it in this video, but if that's something that you guys would like to see with this build, let me know, and I'll probably try to upload it. But thank you for watching. Click that subscribe button. We're trying our best to get to 1,000. Help us get there. Thank you for watching.